Greetings and welcome to Election Watch with Ashwyn. Mberi. In studio with me today is Agri-Monitor journalist Francoise Steynberg. How are you, Francoise?
Fine, and you, Ashwyn?
Right.
We're waiting for the rain.
We are waiting for the rain, and the rain could be literal and the rain could be elections. Yes, indeed. So the reason we have Francoise in studio today is we're going to be talking about agriculture, particularly in Namibia, land reform, how it's going to play how much of a factor it's going to play in the upcoming elections. But before we get into that, Francoise, just a broad overview with regards to agriculture in Southern Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. So the economic role of agriculture, it is obviously vital in Sub-Saharan Africa, employing nearly 2/3 of the population and contributing to about 20% of the GDP in many countries. And smallholder farmers dominate the sector. And of course, climate change is something we can't ignore without a doubt.
And COP29 is ongoing.
Yes.
And we are the poor countries and where are the rich countries helping us?
Yes, you know, we need to have that conversation right now, especially with regards to climate financing. And the reason is because climate change is expected to significantly reduce agricultural yields. So we're talking staple crops like maize, wheat, and rice for the particularly vulnerable, with projected yield declines of up to 13% by 2050. So that is an urgent issue that we need to absolutely handle. And of course, you know, it increases vulnerability. Rising temperatures and irregular rainfall patterns are exacerbating food security. For instance, frequent droughts and floods have led to a 45.6% increase in undernourishment in this region since 2001. It goes without saying. This is, you know, one of those issues that, you know, politicians heading towards elections have to certainly address, particularly in this region, because post El Nino, we've been experiencing a drought. Right?
Yes.
We're talking about countries like Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, where they have declared national emergencies as malnutrition rates, especially amongst children, rise. And of course, you know, there's economic and infrastructure impacts. The drought itself has caused rising food prices and energy crisis. For example, Zambia and Zimbabwe face electricity blackouts, and this is due to critically low water levels at Kariba Dam. And as we speak, Zambia and Zimbabwe are currently having an energy conference, and I suspect that's one of the issues that they're going to try and address. But our priority is Namibia, Francoise.
It's Namibia, and remember, we also get our electricity from Zambia, from the Kariba Dam.
From the Kariba Dam, so you know, all our issues are interconnected.
Yes.
Now we know that agriculture played a crucial role in the Zambian election, which elected Hakainde Hichilema. Let's see how important agriculture is in Namibia after the break. All right, Francoise, we can't talk agriculture without talking land reform.
Yes, we have to.
Yes, let's start
because
right there.
we have a big country.
Yes.
And we don't have many people, so everybody wants a piece of land.
Yes, yes, without a doubt. So how do you think, you know, Namibia's proposed resettlement policy, which emphasizes regional equity and assistance for these marginalized groups, how well do you think it can address, you know, the historical imbalances in land distribution?
So there are some parties that say why is land owned by foreigners? Especially the AR says there are more than 200 farms owned by foreigners and absentee landlords, which is equal to approximately 1.4 million hectares. So the AR government will specifically target these farms for expropriation, redistribution to Namibians, or state takeover for agricultural production by the state. The LPM is about land reform.
It's in their name, yes.
It's about land reform, and it supports land expropriation with just compensation. And it wants to place a moratorium on the sale of agricultural land to foreigners.
Look, we can't talk expropriation in this region without mentioning Zimbabwe, right? Because there's a method to expropriation. I think around the growing opinion really is that, you know, land should be distributed equitably. But I think the issue has now been the method in which such a thing is done. And when we are talking about things which are considered to be liberation principles, cornerstones of liberation principles, of course, Zimbabwe did it in such a way that right now the Zimbabwean government is paying back billions of dollars to farmers that they forcibly removed. We certainly hope that goes the way that, you know, they expect it to.
And Zimbabwe was the food basket.
It was the food basket of Africa.
And now the production is down.
We're normally in a situation like this where we're suffering from drought. Zambia and Namibia would have looked to Zimbabwe for assistance. So I think ideologically it seems like a sound principle to expropriate land in some manner or the other to make it equitable. But there's a method to it that must be adhered to it.
And is it with or without compensation? That's the key part. The big thing. That is the big thing, and fair compensation.
Fair compensation.
Fair compensation.
Okay. So look, we'll touch more into land as we get into the manifestos, but still an issue with regards to land, the red line.
The red line.
Look, for the Namibian out there who's just been seeing headline after headline and doesn't quite understand what it's about, what is the red line dispute about?
It's about diseases. We cannot export our meat to international markets if there are risks of spreading diseases. So that's why north of the red line, the farmers there cannot export their cattle. But according to Agricultural Minister Kalle Schlettwein, they are considering to move the red line gradually northwards, because there are certain areas who does not have a mouth disease.
Yes.
So that will be a good thing, but like AR says, no, the removal. So this red line has been there since 1896, and it was not only a colonial thing like the AR said. It was because of diseases and not spreading them. And now it's very, very important. We cannot have the risk to lose our international markets. We know there is a problem with meat cutting. So the private farmers, they are starting their own abattoirs and export, digging into export markets. So
okay, what I would understand, we say it wasn't a colonial construct. How it was constructed during colonial times.
It was constructed during colonial times.
And I think we can go as far as to say that in spite of the intention not being colonial, it did create some benefits colonially, and of course some economic disadvantages, which is
economic disadvantages for sure. Still,
and that's why that's still to this day.
We have excellent farmers up in the north.
Yes,
they cannot move their cattle or their anything.
Their produce. So really, it seems like everyone has to find a happy medium. You know,
we have to find the middle ground.
We have to find the middle.
Move up the red line a little bit.
A little bit.
Remove it completely.
All right. So now what you just saw there was a graphic which is depicting the drought currently in sub-Saharan Africa, where it's most prevalent. You can see that most of Namibia is currently under drought, and you can see all of Zimbabwe is engulfed. South Africa certainly a huge chunk of it over there. Now, this is my next question, because we're talking about produce as well, and we're talking about, you know, exports and imports. I want to talk about exports and imports. What measures can Namibia do to balance its reliance on cereal imports? Because we import 60% of our food, if I'm not mistaken, around 60% of our food. What's a balance that we could create, you know, to try to get more money in farmers' pockets?
We have to be
reliant.
We have to. So last week, the president and Kalle Schlettwein visited the green schemes, and this is the way forward.
Okay.
On my front page, there's also an article about fruit. We don't produce enough fruit. So we have to be self-reliant, but we need water.
We need water.
We need water.
So what role then can, you said they visited the green schemes. What role do you think, public and private enterprise partnerships can play?
That is the way to go.
That's the way to go.
That is the way to go. Government can't do it on its own. We have to get more researchers.
Yes.
And there are so many people with know-how in this country that can help the government. And I have to say, when you visit the Blueberry project, it's amazing that what they've done in a short time. If you visit the grape farms up in this down in the south, they are harvesting now. How much we export, how much it has grown, the markets, 35 countries.
Yes. Now, I mean, I'm going to mention something. I just recently took a visit to the strawberry farms, which is also fantastic to see, just to see that kind of produce coming out of Namibia. But like we're saying, we're in a drought. There isn't enough money coming into the farmers' pockets. The farmers aren't able to export as much as they would like to. How did we get here? Do you get my point? Because, I mean, politically, those are questions we have to ask, right? We have to say what was addressed, what was not addressed, what hasn't been addressed. Is there a reason this issue has not been successfully addressed since independence?
Okay, I have to admit, the drought plays a big role. Climate plays a big role. Because we are a water-stricken country, it plays a big role. But people could have predicted it in 34 years, and climate change was predicted also, and measures could have been in place and taken more drastically. So
that's what you'd want to hear from whoever seeks to lead Namibia in the upcoming term, you know what I mean? Like, are they going to heed this kind of guidance, to try and foresee where we are going and take the necessary measures? Because Africans take a lot of pride in agriculture. Agriculture is not just an economic thing, it's a sense of dignity.
It's a culture.
It's a sense of pride. Yes, and so I think it's going to be interesting to see how opposition parties and the ruling party plans to deal with the issue of agriculture and farmers. And fortunately, we'll be going into the manifesto soon.
But innovation. You
want to see new ideas?
Innovation.
Who has the new ideas?
Yes, who has the new ideas?
Have you felt like it's been at the forefront as often as it should be, agriculture? With regards to what we're hearing from election campaigns. You don't have to be specific, but do you think it has been the focus point as it should be?
It's not the focus point.
It's not the focus point.
I think housing and education and
health, which are good, but you can't separate
the
from
budget. The budget for agriculture is way too low. It's not enough.
Yes. Yeah. So that's something else that has to be addressed. So, I mean, because once you do a budget, that means you've assessed what you believe is needed. And so if we're saying that the budget is too low, it means the assessment itself was not as thorough as it should have been. All right. Interesting. This is why I like having journalists on the show. It's fantastic. All right. After the break, we're not going to get into the manifestos of 5 of the leading political parties, but we'll also show you how you can check out all the manifestos. I mean, all the manifestos, especially with regards to agriculture.
Stay informed as hashtag Namibia Decides 2024. Save the Synergy chatbot 264-8578-56231. Add to your contacts as Synergy Chatbot. Open the WhatsApp chat. Type elections. Click Select here for more options and click Manifestos. After that, select the party's manifesto that you would like to see. Hashtag Namibia Decides 2024.
Now, what you just saw was a clip of how you can check out all the manifestos and make yourself an informed decision on the 27th of November as hashtag Namibia decides 2024. We're a mere 8 days away from the election. Exciting times indeed. But now we're going to go into the manifestos with regards to agriculture. I'm just going to tee you up if that's okay. I'll start off with SWAPO. Now, SWAPO emphasizes modernizing agriculture and enhancing food security by supporting small-scale farmers, promoting irrigation schemes, and boosting agricultural value chains. The party also highlights sustainable land management practices and resolving land reform challenges by accelerating the resettlement of historically disadvantaged Namibians. We just spoke about this. From what you've observed from the manifesto, Francoise, how do you think SWAPO plans to address, the ongoing delays and challenges in the resettlement programs, while ensuring the sustainability of the proposed schemes?
I just have to say the manifestos it's very interesting reading.
It's an interesting reading.
It's so interesting.
Okay.
It is so interesting. So let's go back to SWAPO. SWAPO admits there will be a need to review our current programs, their current programs, and if need be, to revise and revamp them so that they can be responsive to our current needs and reality as a country. And the focus is on being self-reliant and self-sustainable with reliable access to food security.
Before you continue there with SWAPO, I'm hearing the words, revise, relook. Is that perhaps a sign of being out of touch? Because no one else has been in power, and from my understanding in general, I think manifestos are important, particularly for opposition parties. In my personal opinion, I've always felt that a ruling party, its manifesto should be the CV of the work that it's done.
Yes.
But SWAPO is saying we can do better.
They say policies must be reviewed to ensure that they prioritize our needs and aspirations for sustainability. The one thing they touch here is the current operational green schemes, which we talked about. Some of them are very successful, some are not.
In fact, one of them is in the papers just today, and that will be interesting to see how that one unfolds.
So they say that the current operational green schemes must also be upscaled in scope, production, and management.
All right.
Yeah.
So, manifestos are promises,
understandably.
But of course, the difference between SWAPO and the other parties is they've made promises before and they've had the opportunity to make good on those promises. Shall we move over to IPC?
Let's move over to IPC. IPC, very important rollout of a public-private development plan for agricultural development at Namibia's underutilized dams, specifically the Neketol. About coming back to water, remember we talked about water. It's the lifeline of our country in the agricultural sector. Radically reform and remove barriers to utilization of Namibians' northern rivers and surrounding land for commercial agricultural activity. Okay, so that's the Okavango and the Zambezi rivers. But remember, those river levels are also low now.
They're also low now.
They're very low. At a record high low.
Record high low. It's interesting that you say that because there was an energy issue that Hichilema had in Zambia, and in his manifesto they ended up exacerbating the resources in order to honor the manifesto. This is with regards to energy. Instead of spacing it out, he just cut down. There was no load shedding, but now the load shedding is prevalent again because the manifesto has been honored, but is it sustainable? And this is the question you're asking. So you're saying, you're telling, in the sense that you're telling us, there's the rivers, but these rivers can run dry.
They can run
dry.
What
happens after
that? What happens then? Okay, so IPC says the utilization of seawater for agricultural activities, meaning a complete removal of restrictions on seawater abstraction and desalination for agricultural activities, subject to environmental clearance.
Yes, which is important because Namibia has got the most advanced environmental constitution. So the boxes to tick.
Boxes to tick.
There's quite a few boxes to tick there.
But how expensive is desalination?
Desalination. Oh, so this
how
is more money.
How expensive is it? So
yeah, we'll keep that in mind. Okay, let's move on to the next manifesto.
Let's move on to PDM.
Yes.
PDM is one of the big things addressing food insecurity. So now with approximately 22% of the population experiencing acute food insecurity. For me, the one thing that stands out from the PDM is agricultural modernization. Investing in agricultural research and development to foster innovation, improve crop yields, and enhance resilience to pests and diseases. Diseases also facilitating access to credit, mechanization, and irrigation technologies for smallholder farmers, empowering them to adopt modern farming practices and increase their productivity. Innovation.
Yes, indeed. I mean, look, these days you see people who run their farms on an app. You know, I've got some South African friends who run their farm businesses on an app. They've got drones. They've got ways to check out the crops where they don't have to just depend on human labor. I think that's an interesting futuristic view.
I am amazed by the young farmers.
Yes.
I mean, it's amazing, the innovation and especially if they farm with their parents or their grandparents.
Yes.
Sometimes they butt heads.
Oh, they butt heads because there's new ways of doing things, and these guys have trusted the tradition.
But there are also very good traditional ways of farming.
Yes.
So
an amalgamation of both.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So next, shall we check out?
Let's check out. Well, let's come back to. Oh, can I just say one more thing on
PDM?
PDM. Empowering women and youth in agriculture.
That's
this is where I say the young farmers and women. It's amazing, the women in the country. I just did a story on a poultry farm.
Yes.
There are so many female poultry farmers, crop farmers.
Wow. So empowering them is certainly
empowering them.
Good.
Yes,
all right. Okay,
empowering them.
So we don't have much time.
We don't have much time. Let's go on to the.
I've got AR with me.
AR.
Okay, let me quickly summarize AR.
You can.
So the AR continues to focus heavily on equitable land redistribution, aiming to break the monopoly of large-scale landowners. Their policies advocate for urban agriculture initiatives to combat food insecurity in cities and improving rural land use. So the real question I keep asking is, how is the AR movement intending to, integrate urban agriculture initiatives with its broader goals of land redistribution? Because they'll need to create a comprehensive solution for both rural as well as urban food security. We'll certainly be seeing how they answer that question, but it's in their name. They're affirmative.
It's in their name.
Affirmative repositioning. So we kind of have an idea of specifically what they would want to get out of that, and we didn't get into the NEF manifesto for the same reason, because we've got a pretty decent idea of what they're looking to get out of that. And then Landless People's Movement, because this is, like we said, it's in their name.
Yes,
right?
yes. So they call it the different path, expropriation of foreign-owned agricultural land with just compensation. But I want to touch on the Neckartal Dam.
Neckartal Dam. Okay.
Yes.
Is this now IPC?
Transform its LPM. Where are we now?
Right now we're at LPM.
No, we're with LPM. Yes.
Yes.
The Neckartal Dam. Transforming the Neckartal Dam into a multifaceted water sports and tourism facility is a strategic move that aligns with the broader socio-economic aspirations for Namibia. This development should not merely cater for the global tourist. Instead, it must be designed to foster local engagement and provide substantial employment opportunities for Namibians, particularly in areas grappling with unemployment and economic marginalization.
All right.
Yes.
That's innovative.
The Neckartal Dam the Notre Dam, expanding the irrigation areas downstream to the Notre Dam will cultivate agricultural opportunities, integrating tourism with food production.
All right.
I want to come back to how they want to combine tourism and agriculture.
As concisely as possible, we need to close the show.
Yes, there is such a thing as agritourism.
Agritourism, okay. And
yes.
That's one of their focuses as well.
And that was interesting to find it in their manifesto.
In the LPA manifesto. And do make sure you check out all the manifestos. We'll play that video again, which shows you how precisely you can do that. That has been Election Watch with Francoise Steynberg and Ashwyn Mberi as hashtag Namibia Decides 2024. Thank you for joining the show.
Stay informed as hashtag Namibia Decides 2024. Save the Synergy chatbot 264-85785-6231. Add to your contacts as Synergy chatbot. Open the WhatsApp chat. Type elections. Click Select here for more options and click Manifestos. After that, select the party's manifesto that you would like to see. Hashtag Namibia Decides 2024.